Okay, we got a bunch of questions coming in, so I'm going to pedal through the metal on some of these. What do you think the ample amount of time of hours of ABA a 9-year-old high functioning needs to hopefully recover? He's been getting therapy since he was 3, started at 40 hours, now at 19 hours.
I can't tell you. I'm going to say honestly, I can't tell you right off. But if I had a 9-year-old come in and they were getting 19 hours, I would want to see what they're doing with those remaining 20 hours if it's in school. Because if it's in school, it's like that first question we had, are they carrying the skills over to the school setting? Because if they're not carrying the skills over, I need those remaining 20 hours at school or 30 to be reinforcing everything that's being learned. Because if it's only something that's happening at home, 9-year-olds, there's a lot of peer involvement, and 9-10 is about when boys start not inviting everybody to parties. It's only going to be a few friends that they have over, and that you start the number of friends limit access to starts to limit at that age, and you want to find that kid that is most like yours so that they can play. But like, does he know how to negotiate and compromise and play things and talk about things that isn't just interesting to him, but is interesting to the other child? Is he reading the cues so that he is responding even when the child isn't vocally telling him what to do, or whether he likes it or not, so that he's your child's able to respond. But 20 hours, I think, is great for a full-time program at 9 years old. And if a lot of what you're working on is very high level, like perspective taking and executive functioning, 19 hours is actually a lot to do. It's very difficult because the sessions tend to be only about 2 hours that you can handle just to work through all the knowledge that's there. But a lot of the key is seeing, like, are they implementing what you're learning? Is he doing these things at school? Is he generalizing on his own now to school? Or does it still require some kind of facilitation in the school environment or outside environment for him to show those skills? And so there's a lot of work back and forth. When I get 9-year-olds who come in and they're like, oh, we think he's done. And I'll say, okay, let's do a full neural assessment on him. Where is his language? Where is his social language? Where is his social problem solving? Where is his executive function skills? And then that tells you by what he's still not doing. The combination of deficits or skills that you still need to master will tell you how many hours you would have or that he still needs.
Okay. We've had this question before, but I don't think we've given them the answer that's worked yet. So they'd love to hear from you. How can I get my 22-year-old son to wear a mask? He flat out tantrums, so we are home for 45 days. He just can't accept the mask.
Yeah, he's 22 years old of not having to wear a mask. Not going to happen overnight. I have a 27-year-old right now. Mom asked me the same thing, and she was cute. She's like, can I send you my task analysis to see if it's right? I said, well, is he wearing it longer now? She's like, yeah, we're up to 20 minutes. I said, you're in a good, don't worry, you're in a good place, but basically it's just breaking it down and, finding something that matters. A lot of if you have a child who's sensory oriented, you might choose like what feels good against the skin, like the tactile part of it, the sensory part of it, you want to be aware of. I've had different kids where we just like the kids, what kind of pinky or what kind of thing they like on their face. There's you can go about it that way. You're going to probe, like, what does he like on his face? And then if he likes, or if he's really into a certain character or anime or whatever it is, that can be a part of the mask too. And you're going to have him choose, like, have him be a part of the process of like the preference assessment. Like, does he like the way it feels? Does he like the way it looks? Is he okay with it behind his ears, or is it going to be a systematic desensitization of getting it tied behind his head? You want to go through the whole process of each part of the mask to see what will work. And then whatever works, you start with 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and you slowly build and you have a reinforcer that he gets for it. If there's some place that he really likes to go, like the other kid I have right now loves In-N-Out, which is, a hamburger chain here in California or in the West Coast. And it was like, well, if you want to go get it, you have to wear this mask all the way there. And he doesn't have to wear it back yet, but mom, they've gotten him to wear all the way there. and he gets it. And, we'll slowly get him to get it all the way back. And so you're going to provide reinforcers. You're going to look and do a preference assessment of all parts of the mask for him, how it feels, what it looks like. Is it ears? Is it behind the head? What, and some of the things you might just have to practice, not even associated with masks. I know a lot of our kids have sensory issues around their ears and can't even wear like headphones or anything. So we'll start with just like touching his ear, putting things against his ear, hanging things on his ear, slowly getting to that place where he's okay with something near his ears. And, just doing it one step at a time. Have your BCBA help you do a task analysis. And then you just slowly increase the time, give a reinforcer for every time he does it a little bit longer than he did the last time. And, eventually there are things out in the environment, hopefully, that he really wants to get to and go. And if you do that, he'll be able to do it. It just
slow and steady.
Yep. Slow and steady. He's had 22 years of not wearing a mask. It's not going to happen overnight.
Absolutely. So we have somebody who's written in and said, need help with ABA so desperately. And they wrote in, we definitely have a difficult time motivating the 2.5-year-old. Now, I don't know whether you need help because you're doing ABA and you're having trouble motivating the 2.5-year-old, or whether you need help getting ABA. And so if you want to write in more, but if we could talk about the motivating the 2.5-year-old for a second, Evelyn, while we're waiting to hear back from her.
Well, I love the little 2-year-old. They're so fun because you can still pick them up. You can still hug and tickle them and do all those things that they like. And it's so funny because I've worked with all these different kids over the years, and a lot of them are actually like teenagers or in their 20s now. And the parents always say, like, I remember when you first came, you walked in the door, and I remember you got the first sound out of them, and she's just sitting on your lap, like it was just like the baby on my hip walking across the lawn. And if she wanted to go, I'd go, but I'd make her do something, whether it was clap or, just like say, make a face or whatever it was. And then if she wanted it, I'd put her on the swing. And before I'd let her go, I would have her do something and, let her go. And it just started with those really simple, small steps. But when they're little, the motivation, you can do therapy anywhere, because you can still move them. You can't move the 5-year-old. Sometimes you can move, but the 10-year-olds, there's no way you're moving, a 10-year-old or a 20-year-old. But with the 2-year-olds, you can just pick them up, and if they like tickles, you can give them tickles right away as a reinforcer in front of you. If you want them in front of your face, you can lift them in front of your face to do things. That said, once they get the idea that you're a lot of fun, then you can start working on the compliance things like sitting down and making sure that if you're going to have them sit down, their feet have to touch the ground. And so that means the chair has to be small enough, because then they full control of standing up and sitting down. Excuse me, I have allergies.
All good.
But there's a lot.
She did write in some more information. She said they need help with both, with the motivating the 2.5-year-old and with getting ABA. She says, most of my ABA is self-taught from video tutorial due to quarantine. But I want her to know that there are ABA providers that are starting clients right now. And if you're in the United States, chances are that your insurance covers it. And, if you're needing ABA, get started. At least check and see that you've got a way to have it, because it's easier when you've got a team that's working with you on this. That's what's been shown to be the most effective if you can. But I love that she's learning through video tutorials. And I do want to take just a second to say that the Institute for Behavioral Training still has free trainings available to you guys. If you go on their website, ibehavioraltraining.com, there are tabs up at the top, and there's the one it's like caregivers, community service. You click on that tab. Then it says a whole bunch of things. You pick the parent tab. Then it shows you all the things that are available for parents. They have 2 modules every week that are free. I do not know which ones are available this week, but if you put it into your cart and you put in the code word COVID, all capitals, COVID -19, if you've picked the right one, it'll say you owe 0. So, and there are 2 that are free. So I will try to find out what the 2 free ones are this week. And those are great, great videos. So, but Ev, anything else you want to say about that?
The 2-year-olds are the funnest. Like, I like if you put them in the bucket swing, you can get them to do all sorts of things if they like swinging. If they don't like swinging, you can, if they liked being like rolled up in a blanket, you can roll them in a blanket and let go when, like you can get them to clap and imitate. The focus of a 2-year-old is going to be compliance and imitation. If you just work on those nonverbal imitation, if you really just work on those 2 things, getting them to have some body awareness that they can get their hands to clap when you clap, touch their head when when you touch their head. That's what other 2-year-olds are doing right now, is they're just imitating everything that's around them. So if you just focus right now on just the basic compliance of sitting, like sit down, come here, stand up, so that you have some basic compliance of them. And then you just focus a lot on imitation, they'll go really, really far, because that's how the basis of imitation is how we teach them how to play with toys, how to move their mouth and talk, how to eat. All their adaptive skills are all based on on imitation. So if you just focus on those 2 things now, you're going to actually, the child won't be that far behind, because that's what 2-year-olds are doing right now.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.